coming out this time from Cloud9 Tempest, of course. Yeah, that one made it through the picks last time, but Golden Glue didn't opt to go for it. And he did pick up that Azir and had a pretty good game on it. But not all the same, they don't want to give that one over. Kalista, yet again, though, going to be the first ban coming out here by the side of Fang Gaming. So yet again, don't want Law to get his hands on that despite the nerfs. Wouldn't be too surprised if we see the anti-ban coming in for Fang Gaming again.
Interestingly enough, LeBlanc banned away despite Cloud9 being on blue side. It looks like Yasui doesn't want to play that himself and does not want to risk that going over to Golden Glue as a first pick or as a final pick for the counter pick either. So
Yeah.
interesting small adjustment here. Urgot still taken off the table on blue side, close to Annie, as you said. Now, Annie, of course, did get hit, I would say pretty hard in the most recent patch, going from a 625 auto attack range to that 575. Haven't seen how it's affected her kit. It doesn't really affect her initiation, obviously, just her early laning. So we won't get to see how it's affected her kit as it's been banned out every game so far. But it will be interesting to see as we go into future games if that is the case still. Thresh, talking about this one being a big playmaker, a very important pick, also taken away from Baby Zeus here.
Yeah, and that is exactly the type of ban that I was hoping to see from Cloud9 Tempest to help get their way back into this series. We saw that Baby, he played so well in the last game, just setting up death sentence after death sentence, really just, allowing Latman to take off on that Jinx. And, of course, Cassiopeia going to be the final ban yet again for Fang Gaming. So sticking to their guns for the most part. Going to be taking those ones away. Don't want to fight it, but the Sivir has made it through, and that's going to be the first grab going over to Lot.
And this is an interesting choice. Obviously, we saw this banned away actually from Latman in the previous pick ban, or sorry, banned away from Lot in the previous pick ban phase, and now it's banned away from Latman in the previous pick ban phase. This swapping side things is messing me up, but they are going to get the Sivir this time around, and already On the Hunt has been incredibly important for any team that has put together a Sivir composition. Now, the downside, giving up a lot of power picks here. Brandon for the win, going to be able to secure that Gnar. An excellent comfort pick for him. The Sejuani also taken. We talked about ease of execution. Well, it's pretty easy to follow up a Sejuani ultimate into a Gnar ultimate, and it is absolutely lethal. We'll have to see if they can execute. But this is kind of the theme for AlphaDraft, and the theme for kind of League of Legends as a whole right now. It's all about these team fights. And with a Sivir picked up, with a Gnar and a Sejuani on the opposite side, you can be sure that these guys are going to go toe-to-toe and that there are going to be some team fights.
Oh, absolutely. We saw how many team fights Fang Gaming got themselves into and got themselves out of with success in that last game. So they're going to be looking to replicate that as much as they possibly can. Like you said, that Gnar Sejuani combo is just so devastating if done right. And we could see the Maokai hover coming in yet again. This didn't quite work out for Solo, or for... Never mind. I'm see this now the lane swaps are messing with me. They're messing with me again. So never mind. Scrap everything that I was about to say.
It's an Ezreal mid lane.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see though, because of course picking a Maokai into the Gnar can be really risky at times, because of just how much damage that Gnar can output by comparison. I mean, Maokai does have an innate amount in his base kit, but not as much compared to the Gnar in my opinion.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously Gnar with the Hyper is going to have that percentage health damage, which is incredibly important. Also doesn't have to spam out as many spells for damage, so a lot of that Sab Magic passive for Maokai won't be as useful. But this is the same exact top lane matchup that we saw in the previous game, so it's just going to be swapped here. Brandon for the win now with the Gnar, Solo now with the Maokai. My big point, Yasui with this Ezreal mid. This is not something we've seen from him yet in the Alpha Draft, not something we've seen a whole lot of in general. Obviously, Faker played it on SKT, had a phenomenal game, has proven that this character is still incredibly strong, can do a lot of work with it. We'll have to see if Yasui can put on a similar performance, but now, of course, Golden Glue and Latman, more than happy to pick up basically the same team comp again after a beautiful execution in Game 1.
Yeah, we're seeing really everything just coming right back out again here, except for that Gnar Maokai swap between the two teams. Of course, Thresh not going to be able to get locked up for the support role. However, so not going to have the exact same comp. As far as the carries go in the jungle, just looking so strong yet again for Fang Gaming. Last two picks now coming in here for the side of Cloud9 Tempest. Need to see what they're going to do here. That jungle and support going to be their last round picks. And a lot riding on this, like we said. If they lose here, they're out. and they don't get to go in on that $5,000 first place prize.
All right, and I should, as we see the Fizz hover over here, and the Rek'Sai, hold on.
Ooh,
Now's where we get, that's a
okay.
Kassadin.
That's a top lane Kassadin.
That's
Or
a
no,
jungle.
no, it can't
No.
be.
No, that's a
What is
support
this?
Maokai. That's a support Maokai.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
let's talk support Maokai. I love support Maokai.
Yeah.
What does he do? All right, support Maokai is bad Leona in the laning phase. That's the easiest way to explain it. He engages a little worse, does a little less damage, but mid to late game tanks a lot better. So a lot more flexible. Doesn't need a whole ton of gold here. I believe we saw, I want to say either EDG. I want to say we saw EDG bust this out a while ago in LPL, and it hasn't seen too much play since then, but it's an interesting adaptation from Cloud9 here. Of course, could still be a Rek'Sai support, I suppose. See, everything is out the window with this lineup.
It's
Like nothing is sacred anymore, and
Oh,
there's a
wait.
proxy. We're wrong. There's a
Okay.
proxy.
Okay. So
There's,
let's see. Well, who's on the board? Because it could be like a Nautilus, which is something that we actually didn't see surprisingly in the last game.
yeah. And I should before I get too excited about this Maokai, too excited about these interesting team comps. So I've been calling Baby Zeus this whole time. He's actually Baby Eater, and because that name is, well, not quite family friendly, we're going to stick to calling him Baby, but I apologize to him. Totally been calling him a completely different player. Thank you. English. Difficult tonight. But we're going to run through picks and bans one more time. You guys can probably see it on your screen. Maybe not 100% updated as we had someone drop out for a brief second there, potentially for connection issues. But it does look like we are going to see that Maokai. That is not, in fact, a proxy pick. That is a real support Maokai here in the AlphaDraft Challenger League. I mean, have you ever seen this played? Out of curiosity, is this something?
I have. No, this isn't necessarily a new thing for. It's just I don't know how I feel about it is my concern
Wait a
because
second.
okay,
Oh no,
yeah,
that
no,
was
okay, yeah.
Nautilus.
So Ezreal was Nautilus. Okay,
Ezreal
good.
was Nautilus.
Good.
All right.
Okay.
All right. We're
All
back to the meta, folks. Our journey is over. Here we are. Everything is in its rightful place. We can all calm down. Everything is okay. The final team comps: Cloud9, Maokai in the top lane, Rek'Sai in the jungle, Kassadin in the mid lane, Sivir and Nautilus in the bot lane on the opposite side, Gnar in the top, Sejuani in the jungle, Azir in the mid lane, Latman and Baby in the bottom lane. Now with the Morgana instead of that Thresh, but still a lethal lane. So we're back. We're back. All right. Everything is in its rightful place. Proxy picks, the curse of casters, clearly.
good. I was getting ready to say I don't like this whatsoever when we were on the Maokai support train because, and just to go back to it yet again, this is in fact potentially the last game for Cloud9 Tempest. It's not the time to screw around with these silly substitute supports in the bot lane. So I like this much more. Sheep, of course, he loves hook champions. That's something that he excels on so much. Of course, the Thresh was taken away from him last game. They had to ban it out this game, take it away from Baby. So going back onto the Nautilus, this should be a significantly more comfort pick for him. So I'm expecting to see a lot of aggression out of Lod and Sheep this time around. And they need to get that aggression out early to counteract Latman and Baby because we saw what happened in that last game. I forget his finishing record, but it was something more than like 8-0-4 on Jinx, which is such a bad time when you are the team playing against that.
Yeah, of course. Now, Lod, pretty comfortable in the Sivir pick. I imagine we'll see a little bit more. He has a lot more defensive options on this pick with the Spell Shield, with the On the Hunt if he needs to get away from a lot of fights. So should do pretty well here. And of course, Sheep on a much more comfortable support. He's played a lot more Nautilus than he has Alistair. So good to see him swap to a pick that's potentially less powerful in the current meta, but his own individual skill will more than make up for that. And definitely, I think overall, always better to choose picks that you are good at as opposed to picks that are good in the meta. So good to see Sheep default to something he's a little more comfortable on. Also offers some pretty solid engage opportunities. Black Shield going to shut down what Nautilus wants to do at least a little bit, but will still offer an excellent powerful engage with that depth charge. And this is the run at you comp, and it's something that Cloud9 has proven themselves to be pretty good with on the opposite side. We said Frank Fang he didn't need to change a thing. They changed the Gnar Maokai. They swapped over with Cloud9. But other than that, it's the same exact comp, and we'll probably see, and the Thresh, of course, but we'll see them pretty much, I think, run it back in the exact same way.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens here. Of course, yet again, Cloud9 Tempest looking to establish themselves in this best of three series and take it to 3 games. Else they lose out and they fall out of the AlphaDraft Challenger League and don't get their eyes on that #1 prize. We're going to go to a quick little break as we wait for these guys to load in those. So go ahead and take to Twitter in the meantime. Let us know your thoughts of these team compositions. And you know who you think is going to come out on top of this game by using the hashtag #ADCL. My name is Achilles. With me, Sifa. We'll be back in just a minute with what is potentially the match point here between Fang Gaming and Cloud9 Tempest. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We had a pretty fast load in this time around. We are on to the Rift in our second game of this best of three. On the blue side, this time it's Cloud9 Tempest solo in the top on Maokai. Hard in the jungle as always with Rek'Sai. Yasui in mid with Kassadin. Lot and Sheep rounding out the team on the bot side with that Sivir Nautilus.
And of course, on the opposite side for Fang Gaming, hot off their first win in this series, it's going to be Brandon for the win. Now, Gnar in his hands in this game too. 14A in the jungle once again with Sejuani. Golden Glue and Lapman running it back with the Azir and Jinx respectively. And of course, Baby, not a hook champion, but some similar effects here on this Morgana pick. Fang Gaming, this is a good game for them. They can be confident. They can come in confident. They're up a game. They can lose this one if they have to, but they might not. We saw them execute this comp flawlessly in our previous match. On the opposite side, there is so much pressure on this Cloud9 lineup. They are the more experienced team. They are the more veteran team. They've been together longer. They've played more, and yet they dropped their first game to a much younger lineup, a much younger team. So they need to step it up here. They need to perform. There's a lot running for them.
Yeah, this means a significant amount for Fang Gaming if they're able to take this, especially in a 2-0 situation against Cloud9 Tempest, which was a near LCS team at one point. So, you know, like you said, as a younger team, if they're able to 2-0 Cloud9 Tempest, that sets them up so strongly for the finals moving on, you know, potentially against Misfits or Legendary, depending on who's going to come out on top of that best of three, which will follow this one. So a lot on the line for both of these teams. Fang Gaming really looking to prove themselves here. And with that start from the first game, I think that they may be able to do just that. But it's going to come down to how these lanes play against each other.
All right. Well, Cloud9's bot lane did start with the Krugs here. They're not. I don't think they're sure exactly if Latman or Baby started on the ground. I think it'd be reasonably sure as those health bars are full. Of course, Latman tried to conceal the jungle start by waiting to go into that lane, but Baby was spotted out by the ward, so they know pretty much where Sejuani's starting and where to expect her, which is, in fact, the bot lane. Sheep tanking and binding there. But the big thing about this is Cloud9 should know to expect 14A in the bot lane around the 3 to 4 minute mark, as we saw in the previous matchup. The difference, though, 14A starting on the top side means he started with that red buff, meaning his relative clear is going to be a lot weaker now that he can't smite that red buff for health back and then go to gank lane. We'll have to see if that affects him. On the opposite side, though, Rek'Sai, this is the early game aggressive jungler that Hard loves to have. And so there's got to be a lot of attention paid to him. And if they're not careful, this guy can solo-handedly snowball games and has done so in the past. So they have to be careful with the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, absolutely. And this comes back to the last game. You know, both of these teams have so much respect for each other. And I think Cloud9 Tempest, especially after that last game, losing that last game, gained a lot more for Fang Gaming. So they're going to be playing that much more cautiously. We can see Yusui doing what he can so far to get himself a bit of an advantage early on in this mid lane to stop Golden Glue's Azir from getting out of hand. He had a little bit of a late start scaling up on the Azir in the last match, but was able to come into those team fights, use those Empress Divides pretty fantastically to establish himself and, you know, really lay down the damage onto the ranks of Cloud9 Tempest. So Yusui's going to be doing everything that he can to try to keep him down. And as we can see, he's actually got Ignite, which is really good because Golden Glue is sitting on a heal. So he can, pretty much negate that heal if timed correctly in these engages.
They definitely have to consider that, and of course, Laud playing pretty far forward does have the spell shield at his disposal, though. So May just trying to get some mana back. Top lane still relatively even. They both played each side of this matchup many times. Solo and Brandon for the win. So don't expect to see too much solo action here, despite his namesake. And bot lane also relatively even. So around the 5-minute mark is when we saw kills in the other game, maybe even earlier, but it's a lot calmer this time around. We'll have to see how that affects the pacing, how that affects the confidence of each of these teams, because Fang had a pretty substantial lead very early on and it let them make a lot of plays. We'll have to see how they perform with not quite as much of an advantage early on.
Yeah, and I kind of like that slow play. And as I say that, we see Latman taking a heck of a lot of damage. That dredge line from Sheep did connect. And they go ahead and they pop a little bit of damage in with that Boomerang Blade. So doing a good job of, trying to flex their advantage in the bot side. We can see 14A's wrapping around the back, sitting in the Tri-Brush currently. Gonna try to get this gank off. Could be a little bit risky because Hard just sitting in the wings at the Krugs. Zap's gonna come through, gets eaten by that spell shield. Sheep getting locked down though from the Dark Binding and the Chompers are ripping through him. Has to pop the flash, but it looks like he's gonna go down. A nice dredge line will take him to safety. Lemon going in, gets one last rocket off. He gets the first blood on the Jinx yet again. A nice binding on the live, but it's not gonna be enough to save Latman's life. He goes down. They trade 1-for-1, but first blood going over yet again to Fang Gaming. Another great start for Jinx.
And what an insane set of plays. Everything used in an instant there. Laud using the spell shield right before 14A comes in. An excellent execution. Latman stepping a little bit too far forward to get that last auto attack. I thought for sure Get Excited was going to get him out of there, but the challenging smite, the little bit of slow laid down there means Laud will get that one back. So a 1-for-1 trade. The difference though, Laud is still alive and well in this lane. So while the gold is relatively even, you can expect a slight experience advantage. And if Sivir gets on the hunt first, they have to be careful. They have to respect the insane amount of mobility that can come from that, especially if a Rek'Sai decides to wander into that lane one more time.
Yeah, really good start across the board. And, it's much more even this time around between the two teams. They have Yusui on that Kassadin who can scale quite well and is able to get into the backlines onto Latman who, really doesn't have any way of getting away from a Kassadin. So they're going to have to be that much more careful because even if Latman does scale as well as he did in the last game, he's still going to be very much at risk from getting blown up by this Cloud9 Tempest setup. Meanwhile, Brent for the win in such a bad spot, just going to go ahead. Pops his flash off the bat here as soon as Sheep shows face in the top side. Uses that Mega Gnar ultimate, but he's not going to be able to find the hit into the tower. So just going to go ahead back into that mini Gnar form and goes right back into farming.
Look how much more comfortable Sheep is on this Nautilus pick with the Sivir on the bot lane. He knows the Sivir will be relatively safe, waiting for Laud to make it back to the lane before he worries about headed back. And already roaming, putting down a lot of pressure, and Gnar not having flash means it's going to be a lot more difficult for him in this lane, especially with future ganks from Hard, so we'll have to see exactly where they do decide to apply this pressure. The big thing that I want to point out, this CS difference in the mid lane. Yusui absolutely dominating Golden Glue once again in the CS department, a 20 lead in his favor. This is due entirely to the confidence and trading Yusui has, using of that Null Sphere to get the Magic Shield, and also just not really scared of the Azir damage at this point in the game. More than happy to trade blows. A lot of confidence displayed from Yusui once again. This time, though, with a much easier to execute champion, a much safer champion overall, so we'll have to see if that pays off for him.
Yeah, we can see Hard actually playing a little bit invasively here in the top side of Fang Gaming's jungle. Not going to be able to find too much action, though. Will spot and delay that back from 14A. Actually, if he'd gone over the wall, probably could have gotten himself a kill Onto that Sejuani, but wants to play it a little bit more safely, does not go for that one. So just trying to harass where he can. Golden Blue clearing out that pink ward. Gonna wonder back, has to respect this damage output from Yasui. Gets that black shield from Baby, but not gonna be able to, not gonna be too needed here. But Latman in the bot side, all alone. The teleport coming across, but it doesn't even matter. He goes down before the rocket can come out. Camera's gonna go ahead and spot us now into that mid side where these guys are trading back and forth yet again. Teleport does get canceled by Brandon for the win, who's sticking around in that top side. But look at this damage coming through in the bot tower. A lot starting to rip through. Maybe doing what he can with the Tormented Soil to try to burn through these minions. But of course, it should be noted that that did get nerfed in this patch. So he's going to have a much harder time clearing out minion waves with that Tormented Soil on the Morgana.
Yeah, and especially against a Kassadin, against a Nautilus and a Maokai, can't really afford to put levels into the Tormented Soil without sacrificing Black Shield levels or the Binding levels, which are both much more important skills in most circumstances. So really going to struggle to clear out those waves. The turret will survive, however. And I talked about how you have to respect the Sivir level 6 there. Well, a little easier to deal with when Morgana is around, but excellent capitalization of the man advantage that they had in that lane. And with that Thresh pick, Baby was always nearby, always able to peel there. And this game, when he's not around, it's so easy for Laud and Sheep to get on top of him. But the Dragon could be going down in the favor of Fang Gaming as they do try to find something back here.
You know, you see Brandon in such a bad spot, though, at the same time as Fang does get that Dragon. He gets locked down by that Nautilus passive, slowed out by that Arcane Smash, and now gets a Meganar ultimate, knocks both of them into the wall. Very nice, but the Twisted Advance comes in, as does the Death Charge. He gets popped up in the air, and that's going to be the Vengeful Maelstrom finishing him off. Solo coming up with the kill, and Sheep with another fantastic roam to the top side of the map.
Sheep level 5 as he entered that lane. The creeps going down during this skirmish gave him the level 6. That's that Riptide base damage ripping through the creep line, getting him level 6, and giving them just enough to finish that one out. And if they had done any less damage, if Brandon for the win had been able to get under his turret, had been able to use that Gnar to its fullest power, I could have turned against them instantly. But amazing confidence from Cloud9, looking like a completely different team this time around.
Yeah, we see Sheep actually playing forward now. Into 14A's jungle, not going to be able to just quite steal away that red buff, but still laying on the pressure, just showing face all over the map right now. Hard, in the meantime, has rotated down to this bot side. Throws out that Prey Seeker, just wants to keep Latman off from farming as much as he can. Now Yasui going in onto Golden Glue. He's actually going to pull out the Emperor's Divide. So major cooldown being burned by Golden Glue, who's now completely out of mana. Going to have to go back here. Down that heal as well. Just not having a good time against Kassadin.
And once again, this is Yasui playing his game. You saw him so confident. He didn't get pushed back by that ultimate. He just walked backwards. Just casually walked away from that. So confident in this mid lane. Not worried even remotely about Golden Blue at this stage in the game. And if he can keep that up at every stage of this game, just casually sidestepping crucial abilities, he alone is going to be a massive damage threat for Cloud9. And the confidence in his play is just insane.
Yeah, that's something that we were touching on last time. And just, you know, how confident of a player he really is in these games. You see a little bit of a skirmish in that top side. You got to be pretty much a wet noodle fight, however. Not too much damage going to be traded out. Hard, though, maybe in a position to take a little bit of damage. Triple Sand Soldier is going to get a couple auto attacks in, but he's beginning to become a little bit of a tanky Rek'Sai right now. You can see Solo going back in onto Brandon, laying down the damage, takes him at about 60% HP, only suffering you know, maybe 8% himself, so doing quite nicely in these trades and up in CS as a Maokai. Those roams from Sheep have just been doing absolute wonders for Solo.
And they have to be careful too. I praise Yasui for his confidence, but sometimes he's a little too confident. We saw in the last game him getting caught out a lot, too eager to get that single kill on the Golden Glue despite what stage of the game it may have been or what the implications may have been of getting it. We'll have to see if this confidence is truly confidence and not just hubris. If he can temper that aggression when necessary, as he is just kind of resigned right now to clearing out these waves. We could see the engage though.
Yeah, Emperor's Divide comes out. That's going to be the depth charge popped on the Latman, who's now on the backside, but Yasui's playing so far forward, trying to get him, but Golden Glue will find the first kill on the hard. Now Yasui's going to have to peel back out of this one. Ready for the win, though. Comes in with a teleport, and he's just stuck underneath the tower. Meganar not going to save him. Yasui with a double kill. It looks like misplays all over the place from Fang Gaming. 14A getting grabbed up, taking a couple tower shots. They should be able to peel out of this one, but so far it's a 2-for-1 in favor of Cloud9 Tempest. Good pickups there, taking down both Latman and Brandon, who has just a very questionable teleport this time around.
Yeah, a little rough there on that one. Definitely need to be careful as to how they play this one. And a pretty impressive engage, actually, from Cloud9. A lot of confidence, as I mentioned earlier. Really impressed so far with the play of this game. About a 3K, almost a 4K gold lead, slowly building in their favor as you see Sivir pushing on that bottom side, pushing those waves up. And we talked about late game scaling, and it didn't really manifest in the last game. Those weaknesses weren't there because Fang Gaming was so far ahead. But now with Cloud9 ahead, they still have this ticking clock. Cassidy going to scale amazingly into the late game. Do not get me wrong, an incredible champion for sure. But it's definitely going to struggle against this Jinx, against this Azir, as Sivir, with the On the Hunt, does very well, but just cannot really match the late game sustained damage output that Latman is going to bring to the table on this Jinx.
Yeah, and the other issue is that he can't eat too much of the damage that's going to be coming out from Latman with his spell shield, because it really will come off of those auto attack critical strikes with his rocket launcher, as opposed to, you know, using the zap, using the Mega Inferno Bomb. So he can eat that one-off little bit of damage with the spell shield, but for the brunt of it, he's just going to have to eat it with his face. So if Latman's able to get into some sort of advantageous position here, maybe pick up a couple more kills, he may be able to swing this game and potentially start carrying here. But that's also going to be contingent on Golden Blue getting ahead a little bit more. 1-0 so far, not having too bad of a game, only down 19 CS at this point. It was a little bit higher on earlier. But as you can see, like, Gold is just very much in favor of Cloud9 Tempest at the current moment, as they have that tower on the board. Dragon coming up in 50 seconds. This is going to be Fang Gaming looking to secure the second one and stopping Cloud9 from getting there first, because they don't want that 6% buff going over. Blue buff not going to get taken away, but yeah, Sheep getting locked up. Nice play so far by Fang Gaming. The Empress of Fight has come across. They're going to use that to get that movement speed. 14-8 dashing forward, not going to find the connect, but Hard goes back in. He gets a huge pop-up, and Lot is going to start playing cleanup now. Yasui going over the wall. He's going to finish off Latman. They fire right back in a 3-for-1, only sacrificing Sheep and taking down 3 members of Fang Gaming. What a play by Cloud9 Tempest. That's going to set them up perfectly to get a push onto this tier 1 mid-turn and to take up that dragon when it spawns in 10 seconds.
And this is the Cloud9 we've come to know and expect. Such dominant play. When they find a lead, they keep it. They knew that there was no TP in the top lane. They knew that a lot of the team fight is dependent on Brandon for the win. So despite a beautiful Glacial Prison from 14A, despite him consistently hitting multiple members, it was just not enough. Vlad, Yasui, too strong at this point in the game. And you said, well, I'm going to have to tank a lot of that damage with his face. Well, that damage just isn't there yet. Doesn't have to worry about it, despite the strength of his Azir and Jinx in the late game. It's only 15 minutes in, and he is pretty much free to rip through these team fights. A completed Infinity Edge versus Jinx and just the pieces.
Yeah, and that last fight, it stretched so much of a lead between Lot and Latman. But by comparison, he was about 600 gold down from Lot. And now it's 4,800 gold to 6,200. That just got stretched into a 1.4k gold lead for Lot here. In such a good spot on this Sivir. Infinity Edge completed. Has the Avarice Blade in his pocket. You see the Brawler's Club coming out as well as the boot. So has that mobility with the On the Hunt popped. And Latman's just struggling to complete an item. He's only got 2 parts of this Infinity Edge and then an Avarice Blade that he's sitting on to try to generate that passive gold. But it's just not paying off for him, and he's not able to find a foothold so far in this game.
And really, when we look at the gold scores, this is a story of every lane. Lot, as you said, pretty substantial gold lead, more than 1k. Similarly, in the mid lane, 1.4k in the favor of Yasui. In the top lane, a massive CS difference, as well as a kill and assist, making sure that Maokai finds himself with 1.3. So that is the majority of that gold lead, and a lot of that is from CS. Looking in the mid lane, 18. Not a massive advantage, but pretty significant. About the equivalent of a kill in the top lane. About the equivalent of 2. So C9, when they're confident, when they're comfortable in these lane matchups, in CS alone are dominating, not even mentioning some of the beautiful plays we've seen from them this game.
Yeah, and we can see Yasui going deep onto Golden Glue. Has that Ignite ticking. Pops the heal, but doesn't matter. The Rift Walk will take him down now. A huge engage on the top side. Cloud9 Tempest turn their eyes on the 14A, who will go down. Rod finding that kill now. It's Brandon for the win. The sole defender of this top side. Yasui coming around the bot underneath of him, but this is going to be the turret going down in favor of Cloud9 Tempest now. 3-0 in that regard. The gold lead just stretching nearly to 7,000 in their favor. Brent for the win with that. Mega Gnar trying to do what he can to defend. He gets ulted into the wall by Sheep. Or he ults Sheep into the wall, I should say. The rocket coming through, not going to fish him off. He's just a tick of damage away from going down. Solo getting bound up will eat that zap as well, so some good damage coming in, but not going to be near enough to take him down. Cloud9 Tempest just flexing their muscles across the map and finding themselves some picks.
On the hunt, and depth charge used in conjunction is one of the most terrifying things that can be presented to you, because even if you find the black shield, even if you somehow stop that depth charge from hitting you, you have 4 members of Cloud9 barreling down the lane at you so fast, so impossible to deal with. And yeah, you're going to block that depth charge with that black shield, but you're not going to be able to block much of anything else as they collapsed upon there. We saw them pick up those quick kills. And it looks like Fang may try to find something back, but they have to be careful here. You can see them backing off of hard, despite him being the only member there. They can't risk getting knocked up. They're paying a lot of respect to Cloud9 here. Clearly pretty nervous about the potential for Cloud9 to engage.
Yeah, lots of respect being paid across the board here. And, you got to wonder what's going through the minds of Fang Gaming, who come out with such a strong game with a similar team comp to the one that they're playing right now, but now just not able to really even find any success in this match. Only 3 kills on the board. It's really seeming like we have almost a mirror image between these teams. Cloud9 Tempest in such an advantageous off the start of this game. Despite the first blood yet again went over to Fang Gaming, they're just not able to get ahead here. So you have to wonder, how was this affecting them mentally as they maybe are looking forward to this third game. Of course, there is still that opportunity for Latman and Golden Glue to be able to excel and carry in these team fights, but this has to be messing with their mentality for sure, losing this badly with a similar team comp.
And the big difference when we look at these picks is the difference in the bot lane. Sheep now on this Nautilus, a lot more comfortable, able to roam, able to have an impact across the map, whereas he was pretty resigned to bot lane on that Alistar pick in the first game. And Baby, without that trademark Thresh that he really does love to pick up here, just not able to have the same impact. And on the same vein, Brandon for the win, looking a lot less comfortable in this Gnar pick. Doesn't have that same reliable engage tool as the Twisted Advance. A lot, has to be careful about how he manages his rage here, and doesn't look nearly as comfortable on this pick.
Yeah, for sure, just not paying off for him. 0-2 and 0, just absolutely no impact in this game, and down 41 CS at this point. Solo coming out so far on top. But of course, that does really go back to Sheep with his roams up to the top side, getting those ganks in and confirming those kills for the Maokai, who otherwise, would have been at a pretty significant disadvantage in that lane phase. See Brandon for the win, though, trying to get some damage in onto Yasui. Not going to be able to do too much, though. Has to really respect the damage output that he's able to lay down. 5-0-1 on that Kassadin. And up quite significantly, 23 CS up between those mid laners. And you can see Yusui's still playing quite far forward, gets stunned into the wall, but he's got the damage to lay down the Ignite coming across. Brandon for the win, doing what he can. Actually, maybe able to get this kill. Not going to happen, Yasui says. Close, but no cigar. Finishes him off in a 1v1 scenario.
And a beautiful outplay there coming in from Yasui. Just a much better knowledge of his own damage output. Brandon for the win, so close to getting away with that one, but that final Rift Walk, that final Null Sphere, and Force Wave, Force Pulse, just doing so much and just obliterating what was left of that Gnar's health bar in an instant. So once again, the confidence in Yasui, we talk about it time and time again, may punish him some of those more 5v5 engages, but in those 1v1 skirmishes, he always comes out on top.
Just having such a good game across the board, just like we were talking about, night and day between these two matches so far for Cloud9 Tempest. 7,000 gold in the lead, and now Latman getting caught out for today, waiting in the wings to try to help him out here, but Latman just doesn't have that much damage. Now Brent for the win, coming in. They should be able to secure this kill, but you can see even the Maokai proving to be nearly too much for a Jinx in a 1v4 situation. They do get the kill. Latman finds the final blow, which is going to be so significant for him now. But meanwhile, second dragon of the game has been taken. Cloud9 Tempest picking that one up for themselves. So going to have that much more pushing power going in on these tier 2 towers across the map.
And an interesting change in the game overall. Definitely getting that pick back is going to help out a decent amount, but still a massive goal lead in the favor of Cloud9. So once again, similar to Cloud9, getting a single kill in the previous game. It is a reprieve from the amount of map pressure that that Cloud9 is able to put down. Fang Gaming will get a little bit of a break, let that Jinx scale up a little bit further. Similarly with the Azir. They have to be careful and they have to be pretty cautious. And you can see Golden Glue really respecting the damage output here as he picks himself up an Abyssal Scepter, wanting to deny that Gasset at least a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna do what he can to try to keep him down, but there's not too much you can do against this Gasset. 6-0 and 1. He is just snowballing like crazy, not yet even really be able to work him down. I think the closest we've seen him to dead was that 1v1 between Brandon and Yusui over on the bot side near the tier 2 tower. Outside of that, he's just been relatively safe, even diving into these back lines to get on top of Latman. There just hasn't been that collapse to lock him down, because there's also that ever-looming threat of Laud in these team fights with that sustained damage, with the ricochets. He's just throwing attacks onto everybody consistently. It just seems like Fang Gaming don't know where to direct their attention in these team fights.
And Fang just don't have the gold to make mistakes right now. If they're cautious or if they make a mistake in these team fights, it'll turn against them in an instant just because of how much stronger Cloud9 is right now. You can look at the difference in items. I mean, a fully stacked Rod of Ages and the Chalice for Yusui. The mana cost not even that big of a deal, and of course with that buffed mana returned on kill or assist, Yasui's gonna be able to jump around these fights pretty easily, doing a ton of damage. And Golden Glue and Latman, on the other hand, very limited to where they can be. They need their front line to peel for them, and it may be hard for them to get that going, especially when Brandon for the win can only spend half of his time being a tanky frontliner, on the other half limited very much by that mini Gnar form.
Yeah, really limited. He hasn't been able to time these with their engages. We see Baby, though, getting grabbed out in the jungle. Chompers have come down. Sheep taking a heck of a lot of damage as the depth charge connects. Now Latman finding the first kill of the fight. Golden Glue coming around the side, but here's Yusui, the Empress of Fight, coming through, trying to stop that onslaught, but Solo coming in, finding himself a kill to fire back. So far, it's a 1-for-1. Solo being taken quite low. They're trying to get the fatal damage in onto him, but it looks like 14A is going to go down. Yusui as well, going godlike, picking up a kill onto Latman. The unofficial double now, Brandon and Baby on the run. It's a double kill for Lot, and it looks like it could be the ace coming in here for Cloud9 Tempest, only suffering a loss from Sheep, picking up 4 of their own. Brandon for the win, still on the run, but he's not going to be able to get out of this one alive. That is Cloud9 Tempest just really putting the nail in the coffin. Twisted Advance will follow him through. Yusui on the hunt. He's going to be able to finish him off here. Gets that slow out. The tower. He's going to go ahead and walk away.
Spamming the laugh a little bit too, having a good time with that one. Want to see if they can get anything else with this, though. An interesting choice by Cloud9 to pursue so far for that Gnar kill. Looks like they will still be able to grab Baron, so overall not too poor of a decision. I was surprised to see him chase as long as they did, but now with Baron at their backs, as well as a almost 10k gold lead, there's not going to be a whole lot that Fang Gaming can do to stop this Cloud9 lineup. They have a decent amount of wave clear with the Azir pick, with the Jinx, and even with that Morgana, albeit the slight nerfs. However, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough, and once again, a single misstep. They've made some mistakes this game, but if they make one more, they will be out, and we will be going to Game 3 in the blink of an eye. So they have to play incredibly safe, they have to play cautious, and more than anything, they have to play smart, which is going to be hard when Cloud9 is applying so much pressure across the map and is forcing you to make decisions on their terms.
Yeah, they're just commanding this map. Look at the ward coverage. Forward compared to that of Fang Gaming's. The entire top jungle ward for Fang, and they have a 3 in the bot side, but Cloud9 Tempest wards and pinks across the map, particularly in advance of that Baron take. They were prepped for that one, and now we can see this nice team group push going into the bot side onto this tower, already ripping through this one, and the Sivir hasn't even joined the fray. The turret going down. Meanwhile, Solo gonna fight Brent for the win. The vengeful Maelstrom has been popped, trying to lay down a bit of damage, but on the top side, Sheep goes in underneath the tower. The depth charge popped on the back side, but the Black Shield will eat that one. Emperor's Divide. Sheep will go down. This might be the turnaround that Fang Gaming needs, but Latman's being taken quite low but hard, playing so far forward, and they lock up Lot. He will go down, a double kill. Now going over to Latman. Can he get the triple? The crit not gonna come through, but Baby finishes him off. Now Solo going in, trying to do what he can, and Yusui has joined the fray inside the base. Looks like one more hit, and Solo will go down. Latman fighting that kill, but now it's Yusui, and he gets popped. It's a double kill for Golden Glue as well, and Fang Gaming bringing themselves potentially right back into this game.
And I said that Cloud9 would force Fang Gaming to make decisions, and it looks like they forced them to defend, and something Fang Gaming were pretty comfortable doing so. A little bit too much unchecked aggression on the side of Cloud9. Yasui almost able to clean that one up alone, but just not quite enough damage yet. And as a result, 10K gold lead been mitigated to 8K, so still a massive difference. 4 towers to 0. Jinx still not able to find a single tower kill yet, but still a shining. There's a glimmer of hope in the back for Frank Gaming. They can still hope for the 2-0. They still have that superior late game scaling lineup, a lot more strength in their team, and Brandon for the win, slowly starting to make his way back in this top lane despite the differences, has finished the Randuin's Omen as well. So Frank Fang Gaming have to play careful still, but they no longer have to worry about the Baron, and that alone means their inhibitor line is probably safe at least until 5th Dragon, 4th Dragon, or the next Baron. So they've given themselves some time to stall this one out, and that's going to be so crucial for them moving forward.
Yeah, really good reprieve for these guys. We can see, though, 3rd Dragon of the game has been picked up. We'll see that one coming back up around the 35-minute mark. Frank Fang Gaming going to have to start contesting those because just 2 away from that aspect of the Dragon buff here for Cloud9 Tempest. So they're going to want to put some contention down onto that side of the map. So far, they have been pretty relegated into their own base just because of how far ahead Cloud9 Tempest has been. But after that last fight should alleviate a bit of pressure for these guys. So we'll have to see if they're able to pick up some objectives. You can see that first tower for them going to be the first thing that they go for. Solo getting grabbed up here, taking a bit of damage. But there's so many members of Cloud9 Tempest waiting in the wings. Yasui as well, able to collapse down from the top. Look at that chunk of damage going over onto Brandon. They have to play this so carefully as Brandon gets grabbed up, gets popped into the air, but Sheep gets locked down.
Siver's not in the fight yet.
We'll find that kill. Yeah, Lot not able to join in quite just yet. A very nice pick and a huge disengage tool being burned out here by Cloud9 Tempest. That could be a window of opportunity for Frank Fang Gaming to really solidify themselves back into this match. Ever so slowly just closing up these kills between them and that gold lead. Baby doing such a good job getting these bindings connecting.
Cloud9 playing once again a little bit too confidently. Yasui doing a ton of damage with that blade, but not able to do too much with the rest of the rotation. The little bit of magic resistance that Gnar has, mitigating the majority of that damage. No penetration yet, and Yasui's build, we'll have to see if he decides to change that. They pinged out that bottom wave. They know that one is going to be pushing in, and Cloud9 may try to find a tower here, but they have to be careful.
Yasui goes on the Baby, who pops out the Soul Shackles. Brandon for the win. Has that Mega Gnar just about ready to go. He's trying to find the engage. Baby on the backside will go down. Yasui finishing off with that Ignite. So a very good pick off to trade back and stop, really any further aggression that's going to come out from Frank Fang Gaming. This should be them peeling back. But with that, they could leave both of their remaining Tier 2 towers, up for the grabs for Cloud9 Tempest here, who have waves crashing in towards the base of Frank Fang Gaming.
Definitely impressive play on both sides, trading supports back and forth across the map, and Yasui just doing so much damage to the squishier members of this Frank Fang Gaming lineup as they push in for yet another turret. But they have to be careful here. We may see yet another engage. Glacial Prison available in just a second. Looks like they're going to back off on this one, deciding not to go in, but Sivir will get that tower on the top side. Both teams playing patient. Baron is up in 1 minute and 30 seconds. This is the big objective to contest here, and it's going to be interesting to see what they fight for. Frank Fang Gaming have to fight here. You've talked about it. They have the strength to win these team fights. But they have to execute because the gold still pretty stacked against them. About 9K standing against them. And Cloud9 doing a very good job to recoup that gold lead after losing it a little bit there from some picks and from tower responses from the side of Frank Fang Gaming.
This Baron, they absolutely have to contest it, like you said. If they let that one go over to to Cloud9 Tempest, again, that's going to just really be the final nail in the coffin. I keep using that metaphor, but Frank Fang Gaming has really kind of been swinging themselves back in, constantly playing an uphill battle, but they're able to do so quite effectively so far in this match. But if they do get that Baron, I think that will be the final push that Cloud9 Tempest needs to finish out this game. So they need to contest that one, and then they also have to worry about 4th Dragon for Cloud9 Tempest coming up in just 2 minutes. So 2 major global objectives going to be coming up here in the next coming minutes here, that Frank Fang Gaming really has to get on top of and make sure that they have good vision coverage. Their wards in the pit for Baron already cleared out by Cloud9 Tempest, really just poisoning themselves for an easy take. If Frank Fang Gaming can get a perfect engage, though, they really could swing this fight around and maybe push straight down a lane and possibly take an inhibitor.
Solo getting
Solo
picked. I don't
getting
know if we'll see a fight here quite yet. Both teams resigning themselves to back off. Yasui finding a lot of damage onto Latman with that single Force Pulse right there. But Golden Glue going to set up a turret. Stop a lot of the pressure here in the mid lane. But Cloud9, Baron's up. They haven't moved to take it just yet. It looks like they may want to secure a pick. So good patience coming in from Cloud9. Honestly, a little uncharacteristic. Usually they're much more confident. They just start that Baron regardless of who's present. But probably good that they've decided to be patient here. Yasui obviously a little bit calmed down after playing a little too aggressively on that Ziggs pick in the previous game. Both teams poised for a fight. Nautilus, Rek'Sai ready to go in at a moment's notice. Have to see who burns the first ult cooldown. Advantage, as you said, still to Cloud9. Both teams backing off. The minion waves, though, greatly in favor, at least in the bottom and mid lane of Cloud9 as they go to take this one. We might not even see a fight here as they do take that one down.
Zero contention whatsoever from the side of Fang Gaming, which is, not really what they need to do, but instead they're going to try to play this one a bit more carefully and turtle up inside of their base. I'm not sure how well that one's going to pay off for them. They have wave clear from Jinx rockets. They have Golden Glue with the Sand Soldier, so they can try to throw out, as much as they can. But they have to be wary of the dive just coming in from Cloud9 Tempest. We've seen it time and time again that they are not afraid of going into the base of Fang Gaming, and with that Baron buff, it's going to help them do that much more effectively and efficiently. So this is going to be a very difficult next couple of minutes for Fang Gaming, especially with Dragon now spawning in 15 seconds. They're likely going to have to give that one over as well to Cloud9 Tempest here.
And Fang Gaming really cannot afford to contest this one. A single misstep there will end the game as those Baron buff minions will be able to push so easily down just about any lane. Of course, Cloud9 posturing for it as expected. They may just take this one quickly now that it is live. Looks like they will secure Fort Dragon. No Super Mega Death Rocket from Latman. Despite some success in earlier games stealing things away, doesn't want to risk it this time around. So, Fort Dragon, we've talked about it. Not the most crucial, but ever closer to 5th. And this means Fang Gaming at some point are going to have to fight Cloud9 head-to-head. The 35-minute mark is here. Jinx does a lot of damage. She is where she needs to be. No Bloodthirster, but Golden Glue in a similar boat. So if this is their chance. This is it. And
Yeah, this is the fight that can make the difference. Yasui goes in, the Empress Divide already being burned out by Golden Glue. He's taken down quite low. You see that tower in the bot side getting burned down. Sheep taking up the brunt of this one. They want to try to get the damage in, but Sheep's taking so much himself now hard. Going to the back side, gets that pop up onto Latman, who's just starting to fire out damage. Yasui is in their eyes, has to pop. The Zonia's now hard. Gonna have to rotate out of this one. Yasui Rift walking out on the backside, hard going back in on the Latman, trying to get that fatal damage, but he's kiting back so well. But it's a double kill going over to Lod solo. Finishing off Baby as well. 3 members down. Cloud9 Tempest just pushing in a bit of a sloppy fight, but with the Baron and with the advantage that they have, still coming out on top in this engage.
And what a beautiful Zonia's coming in there from Yasui. Barely able to block that last bit of damage. Rift walking out. Its range has been shortened, but will take him just barely to safety. Despite 14A, once again, a beautiful Glacial Prison, landing it when it counted. Just not enough. And we talked about Golden Glue and Latman being the guys who needed to survive, being the guys who needed to live to do damage, and I mean, they made it out of that one with a sliver of health, and despite having every one of their tanks go down, defending them, they still weren't able to do the damage necessary to kill this tanky front line for Cloud9, and while it may start to swing in their favor, they're losing everything here, and with the inhibitor line broken, it only gets easier for this Cloud9 lineup, despite the late game scaling present on the side of Fang Gaming.
Yeah, they just haven't been able to get that scaling really kicking off. We can see Latman, he's trying to finish off that Bloodthirster, still going to be short about 600 gold, so it'll be a while before he's able to pick it up. There's just such different games coming in here for Fang Gaming compared to the first. Cloud9 Tempest have had such a strong lead from the get-go here, out the gate, just firing on all cylinders.
And this is just,
they had a little bit of a reprieve there with that team fight, that first team fight in the bot side before the inhibitor went down, but they just haven't been able to replicate that.
And this is just night and day. We look at the 80 carry scores. It's pretty reminiscent of last game, except this time it's Lod who's so far ahead. 8-1-6 that scoreline. Participated in 14 out of those 22 kills. An impressive display from him. Similarly, Yasui in the mid lane, 11-1-5. When he has the mobility, when he has these more assassin-style champions, he's able to do so much more for the team. And now 15, almost 16k gold lead. Sorry, almost 15k gold lead in the favor of Cloud9. And quite frankly, if they group as 5 and they play this smart, there is absolutely nothing Frank Fang can do to stop them. But game's not over yet, and still Azir and Jinx, if left alone, if allowed to hit that back line of Laud pretty much as the sole member of that back line, they're going to be able to turn these team fights around in an instant. So everything kind of balanced on a knife edge in this game too.
Yeah, it's just so difficult for them, though, because they can't get to the back line because Yasui is doing just that. He's going directly into their faces, and they've not been able to pop him out of these fights. They burn him down quite low. He uses Zhonya's in such a great position in that last team fight when they took the inhibitor, but they just haven't been able to finish him off before he's being impactful. He's going in, he's getting off his damage, and then getting out, barely. So Latman and Golden Glue have just not been able to latch on to this very elusive Kassadin that Yasui is bringing to the forefront, and it's paying off so much better than his Ziggs did it in the last game. Sure, he had some pretty fantastic plays and some takeaways, with that Luden's Echo proc coming in, but you can see, like, this is where Yasui can absolutely thrive on a champion, where he's able to dive into the backside and just melt through the ranks of the enemy team.
Dragon spawning in a minute and 50 seconds, Baron in a minute and 30 though, so Cloud9 have a bit of a break. If they want to wait for this one, they can just safely end with that 5th Dragon or that Baron buff, and it looks like they might do just that. They're applying pressure in all lanes. They're trying to starve out Frank Fang Gaming. They want to make sure that there is no vision anywhere on the map, and camping the front of your enemy's base for 3 minutes, pushing each and every one of those waves in, really exerting your dominance here. Excellent way to make sure that Frank Fang Gaming can't set up vision, that they can't get control of any of these major objectives. And the thing is, Frank Fang Gaming cannot commit to an objective until Cloud9 does, because if they all go for Baron, they get 5th Dragon, and Cloud9 just gets to roll over them. If they all go for 5th Dragon, Cloud9 doesn't care. 2nd Dragon doesn't do anything here for this Frank Fang Gaming lineup, and Cloud9 gets the free Baron. So they have to play reactively, and they're not in a good position to do so.
Yeah, like you said, this isn't a situation where Frank Fang Gaming can just say, like, okay, let them have this, we'll go take the other, just because Cloud9 Tempest, they're in such a win-win right now, and it's just a catch-22 for Frank Fang. No matter what objective they give up, they're losing 10 times as much on the back side of it. You can see they're sitting around this dragon camp, maybe trying to get a pick, but they have super creeps pushing into the base, just knocking on the door of the Nexus towers. And this is going to be Cloud9 Tempest just rotating right up toward this Baron that's spawning in 8 seconds. They might just opt to melt straight through that one if they want to. Really, they can do whatever they want on the map right now. And all Frank Fang Gaming can do is hope that they can answer it. Golden Glue going in onto Yasui, who pops his Zhonya's. They have the chompers down, and they finish him off. Golden Glue will get the final blow. That's going to be a fantastic pickup, and that is exactly what Frank Fang Gaming need to try to turn this on its head and get these major objectives in safely.
This is huge. They can get the Dragon here. They can stop the 5th Dragon. They can perhaps even stop the Baron. Everything could turn here for Frank Gaming. An amazing play from Golden Glue there. Baby on the back of that one to come in with the Black Shield to give him just enough life to survive on that one. Grabbing the Dragon. 14A and the rest of the team moving over to Baron. They know that they have to contest this, and an excellent read from Frank Fang Gaming to put the vision down there to see it happening. Cloud9 forced to back off. 25 seconds left on Yasui. If they can find this Baron, they can turn this game around. The gold lead mitigated slightly. Only about 14K now. Still massive without a doubt, but with the late game scaling and this Baron combined, they may be able to find themselves a good fight. Have to see who can take it, or if we see a fight go in here.
Yeah, they're going to try to lock down Solo, and they do just that. The Vengeful Maelstrom has been popped as he's trying to mitigate all that damage. Flashes out to safety. That rocket not going to connect, but now Sheep is going to be in their eyes, and they're straight back onto Solo, who will go down. Lotman finding that kill. Hard coming around the sides, will not be able to get that knockup due to the shield, but Yasui rejoining the fight, just shutting down Golden Glue, jumping into the back lines, and he's completely untouched, and Latman is already near dead. They're just sweeping right back through the ranks of Frank Fang Gaming and cleaning them up. This is gonna be the ace. Yasui with the rejoin. There it is. They only lose 2 members, and Hard using the Void Rush to get right back over to the space. They should be able to finish out the game right here.
And so much was lost there for Frank Fang Gaming. They had this glimmer of hope. Once again, it shined there. They got Yasui. They took him down. They found another engage, but they blew everything on Solo and on Sheep. And when Yasui got to walk into that team fight with On the Hunt active, he got to rip through every member of Fang Gaming, and hard, consistent with the knockups, lot on the backside, consistent with the damage as well. Just able to dominate that last team fight alone. GG being called out here, and Cloud9 now tying up the set 1-1 with one of the strongest performances we've seen from them. Fang Gaming blowing our minds in game 1. Cloud9 turning it right back on its head in game 2.
Yeah, wow. What a good performance by Cloud9 Tempest. Just grabbing on to a lead so early in that match and not